Hi, what's up, guys? My name is Jordan Rice, and this is the very first episode of the Bright Spots. Here with Slick Nick with the kicks, my man Nick Mbonu, owner of Shoe-Pawn. He's an entrepreneur, social media marketer. He does it all. We're here just interviewing today, kind of give you guys some keys on what life's like as being an entrepreneur, what kind of hustles and struggles you had to go through being an entrepreneur, and honestly the day-to-day of what it takes to be an entrepreneur for somebody that's aspiring to be better and do better with their life.
Okay.
First question I want to start off with is, tell me a little bit about your childhood, man. Tell me about your upbringing.
Man, well, so grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Currently, I am 22 years old, but I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina with two other brothers, one sister, household of 6 total people. I mean, it was crazy. It was rough. We grew up, not too spoiled, not too, I wouldn't say poverty, but I'll say middle class. So yeah, we're a very middle class family.
How does that feel to grow up with like a lot of family members in your household every day?
I mean, you got used to it. It was something that wasn't really, to me, any different than any other family, So I was just used to having all the guys running around and just a couple girls in the house.
Does entrepreneurship run in your family?
So my dad actually is an immigrant. He's from Nigeria, and he owns his own real estate company right now. So I guess it kind of does run in the family.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about your dad's real estate business?
So he started off doing buying and selling houses in the Raleigh area.
Okay.
And right now I think he owns maybe like 30 or 40 houses or so. But yeah, he started off really small. He started with a small convenience store in the Garner area of Raleigh, if you guys are familiar with that, for some of you who are from North Carolina. But yeah, so he started young, kind of like me.
Hey, that's not bad. You guys, what about your brothers and sisters? Any of them trying to be entrepreneurs or?
Not well. My brother does a little bit of what I do, but on a much smaller scale. So he also buys and sells shoes, but he doesn't do anything nearly as much as what I do. But it's still a little entrepreneurial spirit. And then my other brother, he's in med school right now, studying to be a doctor.
Okay. Now the big question is, what is the very first business you made?
So the first business that I made, I don't know if I would call it a legitimate business.
Any type of thing you've ever done, man? Anything you've ever done?
It was so I want to say I was like 10, 11. I don't know if y'all remember, back in the day, they used to have these big packets of gum, and they would come in like packs of like 22 or something, big red juicy fruit. So I'll get those and I'll sell them by the sticks. I'll sell them by 25 cents per stick of gum, and I was like in middle school or something. I'd leave home with like $10 every day. I was like,
hey, well that's smart, man. To me, bro. Everybody's
exactly.
Everybody's gonna try to take it from you.
Exactly. So I thought I might as well charge people 25 cents for it.
Yeah. So as far as what other things you do in high school, like growing up, that kind of deferred you from other kids?
In high school, to be honest with you, man, I was trying to fit into the crowd in high school. I was just one of those other kids who was trying to figure out where he best belonged. I was hanging with the goth kids. I was hanging with the theater kids. I was hanging with the football players. I was hanging with the basketball players, because I just kind of didn't know which kind of crowd I fitted into. So I kind of did it all.
How do you feel like that affected you as far as like everybody in there, especially going through high school every single day?
I would say it affected me because I got a chance to realize, what crowd most people don't even get a chance to see every different aspect of every different crowd. So I got the chance to put myself in every single scenario. So I honestly think it benefited me to put myself in other people's shoes.
Okay.
Instead of just judging them based off like, oh, he looks like he might do that, or she looks like she might do that. I put myself into that, situation, and now I can actually see if I want to be a part of those crowds.
Did you have any influencers in high school that kind of pushed you in the direction of the entrepreneurial lifestyle?
Absolutely. Some of my personal friends actually pushed me. So Grayson Murray, who is a professional golfer now, is one of the guys who really pushed me into, believing that I could really do what I set my mind to. Keep in mind, he started playing golf when he was 6 years old, but, I thought if I didn't start now, then why not? And then there's other friends like Michael Pham, who was an entrepreneur, and he was like 14 years old, buying and selling phones and MacBooks and whatnot. So people like that in my personal life kept me, in a straight and narrow.
Okay. And was there any like challenges going through high school and kind of having the entrepreneur spirit, but having to go to class every day and struggle just trying to do what everybody else is doing, trying to fit in?
As far as high school, my entrepreneurial journey didn't really start until me leaving high school. So as far as high school went, like I said, I was just trying to be, a part of the crowd. I was trying to fit into, different scenarios where I didn't even know if I fit into them or not. I was just kind of testing. So my entrepreneurial journey really started after I left, my senior year into that summer of my college experience.
Okay. Now, I know we both went to ECU together, but the real question is, why did you choose ECU?
All right, so when it came to applying to college, I really didn't I wouldn't say I didn't want to go to college, but I kind of just thought it was what everybody did. I thought it was like the pavement to like life. You have to go to college. So I wasn't really like, all right, I have to go to this. I didn't care. So the schools I really wanted to go to was either I could stay in Raleigh at NC State, or, I heard ECU was a fun school. Like my friends from Leesville Road High School, shout out to the Loonies, my friends from Leesville Road High School told me that, ECU was a fun place to be. So I applied to NC State and I applied to ECU. I got deferred from NC State. And here I am.
Hey, well, that's not too bad. All right, so tell me, was it really the party life to bring you here? Was there any other type of factors that brought you to ECU? Because everybody comes here and says they just come here for the party life.
Exactly. Was it the party life that brought me here? I won't say 100% no, because it played a factor into me coming here.
Okay.
But it didn't fully bring me here, because I also had a lot of friends from my high school that came here, so I figured if they're going here,
all right, so tell me about your very first week at ECU. What did you think about it? Like, what was
very first week, man? My very first week at ECU, man, I would never forget. I went to a fraternity party. It wasn't even a fraternity party. It was like when the fraternity was like kind of shutting things down, because we didn't really know where to go. So we were just kind of walking around what they call the grid here in Greenville, North Carolina, and we found this fraternity house called TKE at the time, and I gotta say it was pretty interesting. Not gonna talk bad or good about anybody, but it was definitely an interesting first week of college.
As far as like your very first freshman year, what kind of experiences you had, like good or bad, that kind of pushed you out to do a little bigger and better things than what the average person does in college?
That's a good question. So freshman year experiences, man, there's so many of them. I would say a big freshman year experience for me was is when I really started. So I started my shoe company in I want to say it was October of 2012, which was my fall freshman year. And I would say just kind of going out and starting to get that done. I started printing flyers. I was really in the primary stages of my business. So just experiencing like what hustle could do, I guess, at the young age. I think I was like 17 or 18. What really hustle and motivation could do. So I really started growing my business when I was a freshman. So I guess that was an experience that really told me that this is a lifetime commitment.
Okay. And as far as like when you started your shoe business, what was like kind of some steps? Because I know there's a lot of kids that try to sell shoes. Man, they're very interested in shoes, but they don't maybe not think about the whole selling aspect.
Exactly. So shoes. So for business, there's always a business side of things, and there's always a passion side of things. And for me, both of them kind of clicked for me. So I was always a shoe collector. I was always a quote unquote sneakerhead. And an advice I would give to someone who's trying to sell shoes is learn the business. Really learn the market and learn what your shoes really go for, and learn how to tell reals from fakes. And there's so many things that are involved with the reselling game of sneakers. So I would say don't dive in too early. A lot of people will try to trick you. So really know your stuff is the ultimate message. Know yourself.
Now I know you pretty well, but a lot of other people don't know kind of situations you had with selling shoes before. Is there anything that went down with you selling shoes that kind of you want to let the world know?
So I want to say it was sophomore year of my college experience. It was like a week before Christmas, December 18th, and usually the way I sell shoes, so I'll sell on like third-party marketplaces like Kicksify.com or eBay.com or even Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. And people have my number all over the internet, and it's not strange for me to get texts from random places like, hey, I'm trying to buy X and X, or I'm trying to buy so and so. So it was a week before Christmas, I got this text message, and I actually ended up getting robbed and shot in Durham, North Carolina, for a pair of I believe it was Oreo 5. So a pair of shoes that aren't really that rare or that expensive. It was just unfortunate.
Why do you think you're still here?
I think I have a mission. I mean, just like everybody else, I don't think I'm the only one who has a purpose here. I think you guys have a purpose here. I think you have a purpose here. I honestly just think I was spared because I have a purpose here, and I'm still looking for that.
All right. Well, as far as like when you started the shoe business, you started to get everything growing. What kind of struggles did you have when you first hit that first hurdle of after? Okay, you start to sell, you start to get into the mode of things.
So some of the struggles I ran into, of course, anyone who's in the sneaker game and knows about buying and selling shoes knows that you will run into fakes. I spent a lot of money on buying shoes that I didn't know weren't real. So in the primary stages when I was a little bit unknowledgeable about the sneaker game, I would drop thousands of dollars on shoes that I didn't know were real, and I'd be stuck with them. So I wish I would have learned before that and saved a lot of time and money back in the day. So that's another thing that I would have looked out for.
Do you got any keys to tell anybody a little bit about kind of like how to determine fakes, how to pick out fakes, or best sites to look at?
It really just, so one of the really good ones that I look at is Fake Education, which is an Instagram page, over 500,000 followers up to this date. And a lot of the bigger sneaker sellers really know what they're talking about. There's a lot of people on the internet that don't know what they're talking about. So I don't go listening to everybody because they will mislead you. But there's a lot of bigger there's a lot of bigger sneaker people who know what they're talking about. So just make sure you go to a reliable source.
And as far as like, so you've had a shoe business for about 4 or 5 years now. As far as like what type of peak have you hit right now, and what type of where do you want to go with the shoe game and the sneaker business?
As far as peaks, I don't know, man. I'm always constantly challenging myself, so I don't really know what a real peak is for me because I'm always like, that's not enough. That's not enough. You know, that's not enough. But as far as where I want to take it, I mean, for the people who are familiar with the sneaker market and the sneaker game, I would say I want to take it along the lines of something like Kicks on Fire, kind of like the blog site they run, or Kicksify.com, kind of taking Shoe-Pawn and turning it into a full-blown out marketplace. Kind of like an eBay for shoes, you know?
I mean, that's a good idea, man. That's 100%
Thank
a good
you.
idea. Real question is though, is after being in the shoe business all this time, what type of relationships your friends have kind of been altered by like you getting a little bit successful in the shoe business?
So like all success stories, you'll have the parts where you have friends and you lose friends, and I mean, it just came at it all just kind of happened at once where, you know, we were in the same fraternity and a lot of our fraternity brothers started kind of backing away from us, which is, you know, it's completely fine because I like it because it kind of weeds out the people who are supposed to be in your life versus the people who are kind of bringing you down. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, and you learn from your past and previous mistakes.
Exactly. Now, I know that the concert thing is one of your biggest projects. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So
how
yeah,
it kind of got started.
I also do concert promotion. I'm a private concert promoter, and I started throwing shows. I think it was about a year ago. So September last year was my first show with OT Genesis. For you guys who are hip hop fans, check out OT Genesis. But yeah, I've always loved hip hop, dude. I've always loved not just hip hop, entertainment. I've always loved. I was in the theater department in my high school. I've been in a couple musicals, a couple plays. So I've always had a passion for the entertainment industry, and I just recently started hosting artists.
All right, you got 3 artists that you can bring out and like throw concerts for. You name 3.
If I had to pick
any three that like living or dead, like
living or dead, of course, number 1, Michael Jackson. I would put Michael Jackson on a world tour, like everywhere, New Zealand, Britain, everywhere. 2 would be Tupac. I just want to kind of pick Tupac's brain. Like he's definitely, to me, is a Aristotle of the African American community, if you ask me. And then the 3rd, that's a hard one, man. I don't know if I would pick maybe like James Brown. I don't know. I feel like I have to pick someone dead.
You got anybody out there, man?
Living? Let me pick someone living. Migos? Honestly, yeah. I haven't done any kind of groups. So Migos right now is the biggest group, but I feel like Migos' time will go by. But as of right now, I would definitely pick Migos. Quavo, Offset, I would pick them.
Has there been any struggles throwing the shows?
Oh my gosh. You know this. Yeah, absolutely, man. The struggles of throwing the shows, and it's all, I plan on coming out with a YouTube series, so you guys check out my channel once it gets created. I'm sure I'll hit up Jordan to plug that, but the problems are ongoing, man.
Tell us a little bit about the first show, OT Genesis. For all you guys that don't know who OT Genesis is,
look them up. You guys,
trust me,
y'all are on YouTube right now. Go search OT Genesis. Go search.
But not while you're watching the channel.
Yeah, wait a second.
Wait a second. It's my phone now. But I'm like, now you can go here. But tell us a little bit.
So the first show that I ever threw was OT Genesis. He was kind of, I would say he was on the up and coming stages. You know, he had just put out the hit Cut It. He had just put out the hit Coco, and it was probably a year had gone by, so we decided to book him for a tailgate at ECU, and it was our first home game. I can't remember what the team that we were playing was, but it was at the Pitt County Fairgrounds, which is a local fairgrounds here, and it was an outdoor event. So what do I even start with the problems that came up? So first of all, the event just kind of crashed and burned to begin with because didn't have enough support on my side. Second, a hurricane decided to come through the day before the event, which is never good for an outdoor event. Get rain insurance if you're a promoter. A third thing that happened, our fraternity ended up dropping their name off the event, like I said before, which lost a lot of support from the event. So now it's just kind of like a one-man show. And so we lost our ABC license, so we couldn't sell alcohol. This was like 24 hours before the event. There was just so many things that happened. We couldn't pick up OT the day of, so you had to call your boy that was in Charlotte. So we had to make an extra trip. And just for when you're throwing shows, be very, very weary of mistakes will happen. Just it's part of business. So. And
as far as for anybody that is about to, wants to throw shows, but they have no kind of idea, just like we were.
Stop! Do not throw the show before you do some research.
I can tell that.
Do not throw a show before you do some research.
It's all about chasing your dreams.
It's about chasing your dreams, but yes, don't start chasing your dreams until you do a little research off the people who have done it before you. Because I promise you're not the first one doing it. There's people before you who've tried it.
And as far as like after your first show, man, how did it kind of feel? What kind of experience was it? And what type of things did you learn from it?
So after throwing my first show, there's a little bit of money that was lost. So I would say it was kind of like a melancholy feeling. I was up because it was a successful show. Mm-hmm. I was able to turn out like 1,000 or 1,500 people to one show. And it went successfully. So from a just getting it done standpoint, it was straight. But from a financial standpoint, I was like, okay, you lost a little bit of money, but it was also, to me, it was an investment. Exactly. It was a learning experience. So for the next show, I put that all into the next show.
And have you done any more shows since?
Oh yeah, I've done 2 more shows since then, and I plan on doing a handful of shows up and coming. But the last 2 shows were 100% successful because I learned from the first show.
Exactly. So for any of you entrepreneurs out there, make sure you remember that you got to start.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you got to start. You actually got to like get your ground running. You got to go ahead and do it and chase your dreams. Because guess what? He wouldn't have been where he is today just because if he wouldn't have took that first jump and throwing OT, and he wouldn't have been doing a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a lot of things that led up to that people don't really see. People don't see the behind the scenes. They just see the success because it's all right there in your face. People don't know the struggle of like when you're starting shoe pawn.
Exactly.
Is there any struggles? Is there any like beginning struggles that you first hit when you're starting the?
So like I said before, yeah. So some of the beginning struggles were, number one, I guess this isn't really a struggle to some people, but letting go of my collection of shoes. To me, that was something that I used to work at Food Line when I was 16, so I'd save up every single paycheck to get these shoes that are like $200, $300 shoes. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like I have to sell my entire collection to try and like start a business. At the time, I saw it as a struggle, but now I look at it as an investment.
Exactly. And as far as their whole college experience, is there any keys that you give out to people that are trying to chase some entrepreneur dreams while they're still in college?
Absolutely. For those who number one, figure out your reasoning for being in college. I was in college for a lot of wrong reasons, and if I had to go back in time, I would definitely switch up some of the things I did. One of the key tips I would give you is, first of all, figure out why you're here. Number 2, don't be afraid to go off the I would say don't be afraid to deviate from the crowd. Don't be afraid to, have a voice in your college town. Don't be afraid to, get outside of what everybody else is doing, because in a college town, it looks like everyone is kind of trying to do the same thing, whether it's partying or, getting drunk, which is fine in moderation. But, don't forget, especially if you're an entrepreneur, don't forget your real values here. Don't forget that you might have a part-time job. You might also have full-time classes, and then you also have a social life. So time management is really one of the best and key things for an entrepreneur in college.
Do you have any keys on actually how to do time management? Just because everybody tells you how to do time management. But
yeah, to get real specific, it really depends on what your job is. For me specifically, being, a concert promoter, and, I've had like final exams during times that, shows were going on. So it's really about, say you got to wake up early. To be honest with you, you have to start your days, at 6, 7 o'clock. If you want to get that gym time in, if you want to, get to the library and if you have a test at the end of the week and you want to get that study time in, you really have to push back your schedule and start waking up a little bit earlier so you can get a jump start on your day, rather than everybody else who, wakes up at 10 and then goes to a pool party and then, you're not really getting anything done. I'm not looking down on those guys, but for anyone who's an entrepreneur, you cannot be doing that. Simple as that.
And we just want to tell you straight up, guys, you got to wake up early. If you're not waking up at least by 7 or 8 every day, then you're losing 3 or 4 hours.
You're losing a lot of time in your day.
Every day, because guess what? When you're not hustling, somebody else is outworking you, out there selling more than you're selling, out there getting more customers than you're getting.
Exactly.
So you guys got to remember that. All right. So as far as like, what are you trying to do after college is over?
So I'm dwindling down to my college career. After college is said and done for me, I plan on, taking the things that I have right now and just kind of 10xing them, kind of taking the whole shoe pawn thing and building it into a multi-million-dollar industry, and taking the private shows and taking the concert thing and kind of, following along the line steps of where Live Nation started from, even growing a social media marketing agency and there's so many things on my plate that I would like to get done before, or before I die and after I graduate.
Exactly. And as far as, do you have any plans for after you graduate, like where you're going to live?
Yeah, I plan on actually living in Florida for a short amount of time, then probably moving to California right after that. Just kind of experiencing, some of the things that God has
used to the heat out in California?
Nah, I hate heat. So I mean, that should be definitely that should be a fun experience. But I'm ready for it.
All right, do you got any last keys to give out to the audience before I ask you this final question?
Final keys, guys. Forget what everybody else is saying. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not. You're brought here to be one person, and that's you. You can only be you. So, be you.
All right, I like to end this every interview that we do, and this is the very first. It's going to kind of throw you off a little bit. So,
oh shit. Okay.
let's say you're you pulled up to a memorial, like a cemetery, and you get out. You walk inside, like your family members are there.
Okay.
You see the flowers. You see, and then you walk into the actual aisle and see that it's your funeral.
Okay.
What would you want all your family and friends to say about you at your funeral?
Honestly, if that happened to me, and I walked into a memorial service and I saw that it was my actual, my funeral, I would really hope that majority of the people in there would be mostly happy because of the things that I've done on the earth. If you leave a legacy behind that was positive, I don't see why, your family members and your friends and the people who care about you would really be sad about that. I understand I'm gone, you're mourning, but the things that I plan to leave behind, I think will lift them past the fact that, I'm gone, that I've left something behind for a lot and helped a lot of other people. So hopefully I'll see a lot of dancing, a lot of drinking, and a lot of partying. That's how I want to be remembered.
Hey, well, you heard it first. This is the Bright Spot first episode with me and Nick Mbonu.
Hey,
make sure to follow him, man. Shoe pawn. Show him some of the Yeezys,
get the link down below. Make sure y'all follow at Shoe Pawn. Get the Oreos.
Yeah, you see what's up,
you're
man.
Sneakerhead.
Don't play no games.
Make sure y'all cop them. I got y'all. On deck. Sales coming soon.
Hey, you hit them up on Kixify, anything. All the descriptions will be in the link below. Make sure you check them out, though. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
And from me and Nick, man, I want to say peace out. Enjoy your night, and keep chasing your dreams. Every single day, keep chasing your dreams.
Don't forget that, guys.